Sexuality is confusing for everybody, but it's way more confusing with obsessive-compulsive disorder involved. Coming out as gay can be very hard on homosexual people. It can induce a lot of fear around judgment and discrimination. However, in this video, I'm not talking about that type of anxiety. I'm talking about a type of OCD that focuses on doubts about a person's sexuality. This type of OCD is like every other type of OCD, a person doubting something about themselves or about the world around them. Straight people with homosexual OCD experience obsessive fears around being gay. They experience intrusive thoughts, mental images, and impulses that they do not want to see or act on. Likewise, homosexual people can also have this type of OCD with a fear around being straight. It is often called homosexual OCD or straight OCD respectively, but to keep it simple, I'll just call it sexuality OCD. To reduce anxiety around these intrusive thoughts, people with this type of OCD will often engage in compulsions around proving they are the sexuality they truly identify with. Like general sexual obsessions, sexuality OCD often revolves around the fear of doing something unwanted or taboo in that person's worldview. People with sexuality OCD often worry that they are the opposite sexuality despite not questioning their sexuality much in the past. They also may have enjoyed relationships of their preferred sexuality in the past. It wasn't until they started getting these intrusive thoughts, images, and impulses that they started becoming overly concerned with being the opposite sexuality. They then started questioning their sexuality and analyzing all previous sexual experiences. Much like other types of OCD, people with sexuality OCD need to be certain on what their sexuality is. They start doing rituals to ensure they are their sexual identity. The person may see short-term relief as a result, however, because OCD is only strengthened by rituals, in the long term, anxiety will get worse. In order to avoid triggers of the anxiety or the intrusive thoughts, people with sexuality OCD will often quit their jobs, end long-term relationships, drop out of school, and make other life-altering decisions that only make symptoms worse. The rituals people with sexuality OCD have often mimic rituals from checking, contamination, or purely obsessional OCD. Some individuals may have mostly checking rituals, revolving around checking their bodies for sexual arousal around the gender they do not want to be sexually aroused by. Some individuals may have mostly contamination rituals that revolve around worrying that people of the opposite sexuality will make them that opposite sexuality. Others worry they might act on unwanted impulses or worry that others might think they're the opposite sexuality, so they always try to act their sexuality. Individuals may also have all of those symptoms. Now I will give you a list of homosexual OCD rituals. The language used is specific to homosexuality OCD for the sake of simplicity, but know that it can also be applied to straight OCD. Common homosexual OCD mental rituals include asking self, do I find that person attractive? Asking self, am I currently aroused? Asking self, am I appropriately disgusted by this when seeing same-sex couples? Other questions like the above that are designed to figure out or determine one's sexual orientation. Reanalyzing previous romantic or sexual experiences to make sure that one is straight. Trying to convince oneself definitively of one's sexuality. Reassuring oneself about one's sexual orientation. Mentally comparing oneself to straight people versus gay men or lesbians. Repeatedly redirecting attention away from same-sex individuals to opposite-sex individuals. Other mental rituals designed to reset or neutralize unwanted thoughts. Repeatedly telling yourself that you're not gay. Planning how to leave your spouse or significant other when you don't actually want to do this. Neutralizing gay thoughts with straight thoughts. Mentally picturing opposite-sex genitals or heterosexual acts to reduce anxiety around intrusive thoughts. Scanning the environment to identify people who might be gay. Magical rituals designed to distance oneself from unwanted thoughts. For example, imagining oneself getting sick or vomiting when having unwanted thoughts. Escaping from unwanted thoughts by recalling and reviewing pleasant past sexual experiences. Replacing unwanted gay thoughts with violent thoughts. Checking one's own body for signs of physical arousal can also be a mental ritual. Washing rituals, hands, etc. if one comes into contact with gay men, lesbians, or bisexual individuals. Watching straight pornography in order to reassure yourself that you're aroused by it. Watching gay porn to prove that you're disgusted or not aroused by it. Asking other people if they ever find same-sex people attractive. Asking is it normal to type questions over and over again in order to obtain reassurance. Asking other people for reassurance about your sexuality. Repeatedly asking ex-girlfriends and ex-boyfriends why your relationship ended. Dating excessively to prove that one is straight or that one is attracted to the opposite sex. Compulsive masturbation to straight pornography in order to prove that one is attracted to the opposite sex. In some cases, adopting a gay lifestyle because it feels inevitable, due to OCD doubt. however, finding this lifestyle distressing and unwanted. In some cases, dating same-sex individuals or engaging in homosexual acts to figure out the meanings behind these experiences, but finding these activities distressing and unwanted. Avoiding gay men, lesbians, and bisexual people. Avoiding physical contact with same-sex individuals, for example, handshaking or hugs. Avoiding being alone with same-sex individuals. Avoiding conversations with same-sex individuals. Avoiding places frequented by gay people. Avoiding public restrooms, locker rooms, or other situations potentially involving same-sex nudity. Avoiding attractive same-sex individuals or pictures or movies featuring attractive same-sex individuals. Avoiding activities that aren't stereotypically masculine if a man or feminine if a woman. Avoiding romantic relationships and sexual activity for fear of unwanted thoughts popping in during sex. Avoiding eye contact with same-sex individuals. When in public, trying to avoid looking at the groin, backside, or chest areas of same-sex individuals. Avoiding masturbation due to fear about unwanted thoughts occurring. Avoiding purple items, rainbows, or other symbols associated with homosexuality. Avoiding androgynous or flamboyant clothing. Not eating in public in case food was prepared by a gay person. Having homosexual or straight OCD can mean a person has a lot of maladaptive beliefs. These are beliefs that are negatively biased, inaccurate, or rigid. These beliefs can include: straight individuals shouldn't find same-sex people attractive. Straight people shouldn't have any doubts about their sexuality. Every thought means something. I wouldn't be having this thought over and over again if they weren't meaningful. If I turned out to be gay, it would ruin my life. Straight people should only have straight thoughts. Gay people should only have gay thoughts. If I'm not 100% straight, it means I'm gay. If I have a thought that is inconsistent with my desired orientation, that means I've crossed over. Sexuality can be contagious. Every time I feel sexually aroused, there must be a reason for it. Feeling sexual arousal must mean that I want to have sex with this person. If my current partner found out I was having these thoughts, she or he'd leave me. If I keep having this thought, I'm going to have to act on it eventually, and maybe the only way I can be free of these thoughts is to act on them. Those thoughts are obviously very inaccurate, and it's helpful to go to CBT therapy to help with those thoughts. If you have homosexual or straight OCD, doubt about your sexuality is triggered by a false alarm from your OCD. It has nothing to do with your actual sexual orientation. If you're gay, your gay thoughts will be associated with pleasure, not fear. And likewise, if you're straight, your straight thoughts will be associated with pleasure, not fear. If you have homosexual or straight OCD, questions about your sexuality can never be answered because OCD, like all other types of OCD, can never be satisfied. Since there is no way to prove your sexuality, treatment for sexuality OCD is about learning to live with your doubt. Remember, sexuality OCD works like every other type of pure O OCD. Overanalyzing your thoughts and body to be certain of your sexuality only reinforces your symptoms. The best way to reduce your symptoms is through the standard treatment for OCD, exposure and response prevention therapy. To find a therapist who does exposure and response prevention near you, go to iocdf.org/find-help. At the end of my videos in this series, I've been saying my experience with the type of OCD I talked about. However, I don't have much experience about this type of OCD, so I'm going to ask you guys to leave your experience down below in the comments. Someone out there will be so grateful to see it. As always, sources will be in the description and related videos will be annotated in the end screen. Thank you all for watching. If you're interested, share this video so more people with straight OCD or homosexual OCD can get the help that they need. Bye guys!